Right. Okay. Yes. So, yeah. Okay. So in the what we have seen here is that in the previous class is about the how they are going to do the process planning in the manual approach. Okay, so because that is going to be the foundation when it comes to process planning in whatever the way that they're going to take it up, whether it's manual process planning or computer aided process planning. The things are some of the foundation, the fundamental points will not change. So in this, what we have is that in this computer aided process planning. Now that actually this process planning can be actually split into two. One is manual process planning. The other one is computer aided process planning. Now this computer aided process planning can be divided into two approaches. One is the variant approach. The other one is the generative approach. Okay, so we'll see these two things today. Okay, what is this variant approach? What is this generative approach? Now, when it is about uh, 1 second. Okay, so when it is 1 second. So all right. Yes. So once when we have this in the variant approach, what we generally have is that we are going to have the uh, same details of how experienced process planner will have the ideology of taking the details from the past relevant parts, which is very much similar, and how they proceed it manually for a new part, right? So similarly, all those things will be fed to a computer, right? So nothing but what are the ideologies and fundamentals of identifying the part, surface finish, reading the engineering drawing. All these things are going to be written in the form of a program using a software, right? So that these steps are going to be carried out in a sequential manner. Okay, so this is so we can anytime we can retrieve this file for the process planning to be done. Now, what happens over here is that, say for example, if you are going to take up a nut and a bolt, now that is going to be, there is something called as group technology, which will come later on. But for as of now, for simple understanding, now say for example, when we are going to take about nut and bolts that has to be assembled on any part that has to be assembled. Okay, it can be an automobile or any other thing, right? So in that case, now what they can do is from the group technology point of view, we can categorize this into different families. So nuts and bolts are one different family, right? So any kind of nuts and bolts, whatever the size it is going to come under this particular family. Now this nut and bolt will have different standards like M8, M10 nut and bolt, square headed, then hexagonal nut and bolt, right? Allen keys, right? All these things, right? So, but their overall feature or the appearance looks the same. They may have a longer thread length, right? They may have a different diameter. Okay, pitch will be different. Threading type will be different. Okay, the head of the uh, uh, bolt will be different, right? So like this, things are different. The only the dimensionals part, okay, engineering specific things will be different. But overall, the features like the thread pitch, whether the head is hexagon or a square, like these details are all common whenever we take up any nut and bolt. So what they will do in this thing is that they'll group into different families, and over here what they will do is these set of I mean specifications have to be filled in, right? So when we take up a nut and bolt, okay, there's a particular file that is going to be stored in the system, right? So whenever we open this file, okay, we can have all the details relevant, say for example, for an M8 nut and bolt. Now I want to create the same thing for an M10 nut and bolt. Okay. So in that case, what we can do is we can retrieve this M8 nut and bolt file. Okay. Make the suitable alterations, that is edit that particular file and save it as M10 nut and bolt. So now we have, what we have done now is that we are now going to take about the already existing file, make the required modifications as per the new part, because the previous part and the existing part that is going to be manufactured, both are almost the same. Okay, so they come under the same family, so thereby there is only little bit changes. Okay, so those changes will be incorporated, so that this is going to save too much of time. Okay, and all the other details are readily available, so whoever is doing this can immediately go through this file and check out the all the details immediately, whether it's is it the required material, whether all the other details are filled in properly, all the other options, specifications, everything is present. So here the point comes is that usually the verification and preparing the file will take very less time. Okay, so that is what is going to happen uh, in the variant approach, right? So here what we have is about the editing option for a already existing file. It is like this. We have already, whenever we go for making a PPT or a Word file, right? So sometimes, especially in the PPTs, we already have the template. We can choose any of the template and we can start editing it, right? So it's very much similar here also in the variant approach also, where for the same family tree, we can start preparing uh, the process planning for the newer parts, which is very much similar to the existing one, right? So that is how the things happen over here the uh, in this variant approach. Okay, and then the next thing is that so there is going to be a coding for all these parts. Okay, which is going to describe the which is going to describe which family it belongs to, right? What is the group technology code that they are going to use? What are all the standard process plan that it has to be incorporated for that particular family of part, right? And all these things are going to be there, right? Okay, and yes, so so often there's going to be very little editing that has to be required whenever we are going to have a new part in this case. Okay, right. So next thing is that we are going to have is the generative approach. In the generative approach, what is going to happen is that uh, all the things are going to be fetched from the CAD drawing uh, directly by the generative approach software. So we have separate software, just like how we have CAD software, CAM software, and there are other softwares, many different softwares meant only to deal with process planning. So in this, whichever softwares that follow the generative approach methods, so they are very fast in retrieving the data, where we can take the data from the CAD file itself. That is what is actually mentioned here. So these softwares can read the CAD data file itself directly, and they take about all the dimensions that is represented in the CAD drawing. Okay, apart from this, what is also going to be there is that whatever the other details that we are going to give in the CAD file. Okay, what is the type of material, right? Is there any special processing that is required? All these things, if it is mentioned, all that details will also be retrieved or directly read by the generative cap system, right? So they can recognize these data. Plus, what is the advantage over here is that, so whenever we have, say for example, we have a cube, and just take a simple example, and let us assume the dimensions for this cube is given. There's a through hole that is to be done, right, for a particular diameter. So when this CAD file is going to be read, it is not only going to take the data of only the cube, it is also going to identify what are the other features. Do we have a fillet over here in this particular region? Is there a hole? Then what is the depth of the hole? What is the diameter of the hole? Right? All this feature it is going to capture. Okay, it is going to identify most of the things on its own. And what is it going to do is that based on this and the logic that has been written for the software, uh, that it is going to follow like if there is a hole present, it is immediately going to identify that yes, a drilling operation has to be taken place over here. So the next thing that the logic comes into picture is, now what is the sequence of operation that has to be done, right? So first the surface, this top surface has to be made flat, right? And then what are the required, any other required operations, and then the hole has to be drilled. So how it has to be, what is the sequence of all these things to be done is going to be read also. So all these features is also going to be identified by the software. So that is what is going to be done in the generative approach also. This is one of the overcomes when compared to the uh, variant approach. Okay, and plus for this, what is required is that it is going to have the one-to-one correspondence with the machining features. Okay, so in this, what does it require? So the information, whatever it can retrieve from the CAD file, all that things are going to be taken, but what is not going to be present generally is that what is the tolerance and other material informations that is going to be given in in practice, right? In for a practical approach will not be generally mentioned in the CAD model or the CAD file. So whenever we do any 2D drawing or 3D drawing, we do the models with respect to the given dimensions, but we never mention what is the tolerance limit, what is the surface finish, right? So such details will be missing unless and until it is completely given using uh, GD&T, right? Group dimensioning and tolerances, making all those features also into the CAD model. If that is being done, yes, that is going to be captured over here. Otherwise, these data will be missing over here in the generative uh, process planning method. Okay, so that is one of the things that will be missing over here. Right. So the next thing that comes into picture over here is that, so somehow what is happening is that due to some of the other one or the other reasons, this particular method is not completely automized. Uh, so there are certain cases where it cannot be automized completely because there are different hurdles where the system cannot identify uh, some options, because sometimes what will happen is that the sequence of operations may not be in the right portion or in the right order as it is there for the in that particular industry, that is in the shop floor, right? So it might have when there is complex shapes that has to be made, so in that case there are certain chances that things may go wrong, right? So thereby, this is one of the hurdles for the reasons why it has not been completely automized. Okay, right. And over here, what they're going to do is that for here also, what we have is that there's going to be a coding method. Usually, what happens is that it will be generally not more than 32 digits. Okay, the codings that will be used, let it be variant approach or generative approach. For every part family and for every part, there will be a particular code, just like our barcode that we have for any of the items or on our ID cards and so on. So each one of them is going to represent a unique value through which a set of numbers is going to define. Each is going to carry some meaning. The part name, the part family, what is the material, so the material number for that, and so on details. Okay, right. So yes, that is going to be there. And here, apart from that, we have to give about the textural information, and also additionally what we need to give is about the what is the shape of the raw material also, right? So that should also be given over here. Okay, okay, right. So that is going to be here. right? So that is going to be the first step, and the second step that is going to be there is about the uh, the sequence of operations, just as I mentioned. So how it has to be aligned in order, and that has to be checked once on the system before it is going to be sent to the shop floor. So here, what is going to happen is that in the shop floor drawing that is going to be received by the employees over there, who are going to be the machinists, they will have a detailed drawing. So as we have seen in the previous cases. So in this detailed drawing, what is the tooling, fixture, gauges, all these things has to be represented. So that is also going to be taken care over here, right? So that is going to be the second step, okay, where what is the tools that is required, the fixtures, gauges, where and all it has to be, inspected for the dimensions, whether it has been properly machined, right? So all these things will be there in has to, will also be represented. So for all these things, it needs a large database, and it has to follow a particular logical decisioning over here, right? Okay. Yes, that is about the uh, generative approach. So now we shall go into the computer aided process planning. Okay. So when we go to computer aided process planning, excuse me, when you go to computer aided process planning, so we have multiple softwares that is being used and available in the market, like dash one, CAPP, then MI Plan, MI Turn, right? Where some of these softwares are based on the variant approach. So it is like, as I mentioned just now, in the variant approach, set of template files will be available, which can be edited, okay, for the newer parts, and that can be uh, you know uh, uh, further processed for preparing the detailed drawing, which has to be sent to the shop floor. There are other softwares like uh, AUTAP, okay, and GenPlan, right, and MedCap, right, like this, which where these softwares are based upon the generative approach. Okay, right. So we will see some of them both from the variant approach as well as from the uh, generative approach also, how it is going to be done. Okay, so yes, so from the variant approach, as I just said, CAM-1 CAPP. So this is one software which was developed by McDonnell Douglas Automation Company. Okay, in the year 1976, that was the first edition that they came out, where it's got a large database. Okay, because it has to have uh, a large set of files, which can I mean templates, that can be suitably edited, which was predominantly used in those days is the Fortran language. Okay, right. So in this, the structure of the database, retrieval logic, interactive editing capability, all these things will be there. So it has to store the files, it has to be able to retrieve the file, and we must be able to edit the files accordingly also, right? Okay. So now when we go for uh, these things, so as I just mentioned, for any of the methods that is being used, usually it will not be more than, the code will not more than 36 digits. Okay, because when we take up, say for example, the assembly shop of a two-wheeler or a car manufacturer, when they go for that, inside a car or any automobile, there are thousands of parts that is going to come in. So all these parts, uh, 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 and even in the assembly also, there will be a set of stations, one after the other, where in the first station the chassis along with the body will come, and then the suspension systems will be fit into the next station, right? So for all these things, the parts has to be called upon. So for this, unique codes has to be there. Okay, so that is why these codes are there. Okay, right. So uh, what is the type of the part based on the family it belongs to, and the coding is going to be given accordingly to that. And they're going to have a capability of coding the scheme that is going to be implemented. So it actually depends upon how the shop floor is actually designed, okay, and the layout is present. Right. So here, uh, let us uh, for this particular thing. Now, when we take up one particular part, say for example, a nut and a bolt. Okay, so we have different nuts and bolts used in any automobile. Let it be two-wheeler also, M8, M10, M12, M20 also, right? But all of them belongs to the nut and bolt family only, right? Okay, so here, what is the sequence of operations that has to be maintained? Okay, as per the standard sequence file that is already present as a form of template file, which is going to be where the system is going to guide us. Okay, uh, next. Now, what happens is that these things uh, that has to be, giving a detailed description is called as the operation plan file. So, how to manufacture this product? What is the raw material, sequence of operations? All these details has to be written in detail, prepared by using the software over here, and that is going to be the operations file. Okay, so that is going to be here. So if we take up a larger example, is that when it comes to uh, for say for example, manufacturing and assembly of the engine, then in that case pistons are manufactured. So pistons should have the details, diameter, pin diameter, right? How many piston rings, what is the width of each piston ring, and so many other things. So what is the sequence of operation that it has to carry out is one thing. Then when it comes to uh, doing the assembly portion, so similarly connecting rod is going to be manufactured, similarly the engine body is going to be manufactured. So like that, when it is there, once all these parts are going to be prepared, uh, what we need is that uh, uh, once when these parts are going to be received in the assembly station, each of these parts of the have to be assembled, and for this detailed routine of how the assembly has to be carried out should be written. So that is going to be the operation file. So there is going to be the all the details of the operation file, with the whether it is the manufacturing uh, plant, or it is going to be the assembly section also. Right. Okay, so for this there is going to be a set of plans, okay, with each code that is going to be with the codes that is operation codes that is already there. Okay, and for this it has to be, the plans must be developed for each installation. So there have to be some customization with respect to each industry before when it has been installed. And so the machining machines, what is the procedures, right? And expertise of a particular company, right? So here these things are going to be done customized for each industry, right? So the next thing is that over here, mm, so as I said, just a second. Yes. So as I just said that each one of them will have a code, so it has to be associated to a particular family. So each family will also carry one particular code. So nut and bolts will carry one particular code. All the pistons will have a particular code, and piston rings. There are different types of piston rings used in the same engine because there are two or three piston ring slots. So for this, what we need is that all of them has to be put into this same family. So every family will also have a code also. Right. Okay. So yes. So now let us see about how it is going to take place. A schematic diagram for a using the software in a generative approach. So as I just mentioned, first thing when we have, say for example, a nut and bolt. So nuts and bolts, that is the family, so that we can make it as one family. Any type of nuts and bolts is going to come into this family. So whenever we are going to search for this nut and bolt, it can be M8, M10. So it is going to retrieve this from the this particular nut and bolt family. So we have to incorporate, we have to give the input of the particular family, right? Whatever is the code given for a nut and bolt, okay, that we have to, if we give that, then it can search and will give us all the options that is already present, okay, whether it's M8 nut or M10 or M12, okay, that one. So with that, we are going to give the next thing is that what is the other data that we have to, that is the newer data for manufacturing the nut. Okay. So with that, when we give, we are going to give the what is the hexagon size, that is the head of the bolt, and then what is the length of the bolt, then thread, pitch, all these features. So once that is going to be given, it is going to identify what is the sequence of operation that it can do. So here is going to be the logic for the operation that is going to be written, right? So based on all these features, since it's already a part of the family, the standard procedures will be there uh, as a program file, which will be retrieved based on the input that it is receiving from the header data, right? Okay. Then based on this, once the sequence is going to be automatically prepared and reviewed, next it is going to do is that what is the operation plan file. So for a nut and bolt, what are all the details that has to be mentioned onto the uh, drawing sheet before it goes to the sheet that has been received by the machinist goes at the machine, right? So here, uh, what is the material, what is the raw material shape, what should be the surface finish, right? And all other technical details, right? All these things should be given in a proper uh, as a document, okay, that is in a standard process sheet. So that is called as the operation plan along with all the other details, okay. And then the application file and the work element process, which is just going to assist over here for the uh, files to be retrieved for if it is a CNC machine, then the program has to be retrieved from the database, right? So that is going to be work element processor. And then the as well as from the once the operation plan has been done, this information is going to go to the process plan store, because here it has to go for the other things. So it has to go to the storehouse because tools are required, what types of jigs are required, all these details has to be immediately notified to the store people, because they have to keep the material ready to send it to the machinist, okay, or to the shop floor, right? So for this, they have to do the process plan with the store and with the shop floor, okay. What is the which are all the machines that it has to follow, right? And what is the sequence, what is the time required, all this put up in a standard format will finally be the process plan, will be the process plan, right? So there are three sheets. One, what is going to be received by the machinist and the machining center. Okay. So he is going to receive only the details regarding to what he has to do. But all the other details, what is the entire, all the machines, what is being happening in the shop floor. So for that, how much time is required, how many pieces have to be manufactured, all these details will be represented in the master file, that is the production planning file, okay, that is this particular file. Okay, so if you look at this, so as I said, some codes to represent the uh, some codes to represent the operations, okay. So as I told you in the process plan file, the operations, so codes will be written where some of the generally used code, wordings will have a particular code. So in that case, it is going to be it's going to carry a meaning, right? So if you look at this code, 10 is for raw material, then 20 is for saw bar, then 30 is for it has that this particular material has go to CNC lathe, right? And suitably the other things. So some hobbing operations has to be taking place. Then they have to do the deburring operations like this. Okay, so codes will be presented like this. Okay, right. So next is that when it comes to the uh, shop floor, what the operator is going to receive uh, with the engineering drawing specifications. Apart from that, here what should be the depth, okay, and what type of machine he has to use, right? And here what is the fixture that he has to use, right? Okay, and what is the instruction? So he has to remove the burrs first, do the cutter, use the cutter operations, right? And then he has to go for this particular tool code. That is, for every tool there's a code, so he has to use this particular code, right? For each of these operations, for fixing the workpiece into the fixture, what should be the time in which he has to do it, right? Similarly, the time required to remove it, right? The time required to complete the piece, right? So for every step, the time limit will also be specified, okay? And then the next set of instructions will once again carry. So fixture number, what he has to use, what type of fixture. It's just like how we have for every tool, we know it is made up of HSS or tungsten carbide and so on. But when it comes to industrial thing, the tools will have a particular code, right? Because there are variations in the angle, nose radius, and material, and so many other features. Okay, so tool codes. So similarly, fixture will also have many fixtures are there. So codes will be assigned to that also, so that the instructor can uh, use the right materials, fixtures, and other things, okay, required for the operation. So this is how it is going to be the operation plan. Actually, this is how the operation plan is going to be there. So it's going to operation plan, code number 30, that means it is for the CNC machining. Okay, right? So this is all about the variant and generative approach. Okay, right. Right. So yes, we'll stop here for today.